Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to explore how sometimes, well, the deepest insights are in the big stories, but hidden in the details, like a simple list of names and places from way back.
Exactly. Those seemingly dry details can unlock so much.
And today, that's precisely what we're doing. We're diving into Genesis chapter 10, just a few verses, 15 through 20.
Right. It's the part detailing Canaan's descendants, and it
Yeah.
sort of wraps up the line of Ham in this bigger section, often called the Table of Nations.
Yeah, and you might glance at it and think, okay, names, ancient history. But our goal here, our mission for this deep dive, is to show you how this short section is actually, well, incredibly important.
It really is. It acts like a foundation.
It's like a precise map, almost prophetic, and it gives real historical weight to everything that happens later in the Old Testament. Think of it as maybe a shortcut to getting some really deep biblical context.
That's a good way to put it. It shows the groundwork God was laying.
So have you ever wondered how these ancient texts could possibly outline, the exact peoples and even the borders of a region centuries before it becomes this major focus?
Well, this passage does exactly that.
This deep dive is for you then. We'll show you just how meticulous these records can be.
And it's fascinating, isn't it, how these verses, which are, let's be honest, often skipped over pretty quickly,
Totally.
contain so much. You've got history, geography, even moral context packed in there. They really do set the scene for the whole drama of redemption that unfolds. It shows incredible care in just, well, documenting humanity's early days.
Okay, so let's get into it. Verses 15 to 18 kick us off with the peoples of Canaan. And looking at the source text, the first thing that jumps out is just, wow, the number of groups listed.
Quite a list.
10 distinct peoples, and so many of these names, they ring a bell, don't they? We hear about the Jebusites, the Amorites, Girgashites, Hivites. These aren't just random mentions.
No, not at all. They're far from isolated. What's really significant here is that these aren't just names on some old list. They represent pretty formidable established groups.
Right. Real players on the ground.
Absolutely. Groups that Israel will encounter again and again as, well, adversaries. You mentioned the Jebusites. They held Jerusalem as a strong fortress. The Amorites, they had powerful kingdoms spread out.
So listing them here so early.
It gives this incredible historical grounding. It tells you the Bible isn't dealing in myths here, but in the history of actual peoples, their cultures, where they came from. It makes it crystal clear that the land God later promises wasn't some, empty space.
Yeah, it really paints a picture of a populated, complex region. It's quite striking, finding this kind of demographic snapshot, thousands of years old, right there in the text.
It's an ancient survey, almost.
Exactly.
And, if you connect it back just a little bit further to Genesis 9, there's another layer.
Ah, with Noah.
Right. These specific descendants of Canaan link directly to Noah's prophecy, or you could call it a curse, on Canaan.
After Ham's disrespect.
Yeah. Noah says Canaan will be a servant of servants. So this list isn't just neutral information. It's introducing the very people whose presence sets up this long-running tension.
A tension with prophetic roots, as you said. It foreshadows that future dynamic.
Precisely. It hints at their destiny, their relationship with Shem's descendants, specifically Israel. It's an early piece of a much bigger puzzle.
That really does change how you read the list. Okay, so from the peoples, the text shifts focus in verse 19 to the places. And our sources call this a geographical goldmine.
And they're right to. The level of detail is remarkable.
Let me just paraphrase the boundaries it gives. The territory of the Canaanites stretched from Sidon down towards Gerar as far as Gaza, and then over towards Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, and Zeboim as far as Lasha.
See, it's not vague at all.
No, it's practically drawing lines on a map. It's defining the exact area that, well, becomes the promised land later on. It's more than just listing who lived where. It's marking out the territory itself.
And that's what's so compelling. It works like a blueprint laid out in advance. Prophetic is the right word.
Centuries before the promise is even made to Abraham.
Exactly. Centuries before Genesis 15, where God says, "To your offspring I give this land, from the river of Egypt to the great river, the Euphrates." The boundaries mentioned here in chapter 10, they overlap significantly with that later covenant promise.
Wow. That shows incredible foresight, doesn't it?
It really does. It suggests a preordained clarity about this specific piece of land.
It's like someone knew exactly which stage was needed for the drama that was going to unfold there. And speaking of details on that map, the mention of Sodom and Gomorrah, Admah and Zeboim, that really stands out.
It does. Their inclusion is powerful.
Mm.
and sobering.
Because those cities are infamous.
Absolutely infamous. Sodom and Gomorrah especially are shorthand for deep wickedness and ultimately divine judgment, as we see in Genesis 18 and 19.
So putting them inside the Canaanite territory described here.
It tells us something crucial about the moral landscape of this land, even this early on. It's not just about geography. It's hinting at the character, the spiritual state of the region Abraham's descendants would inherit.
So it foreshadows the problems.
You could say that. It implicitly foreshadows the kind of corruption that would become endemic among these peoples, providing the underlying justification for God eventually commanding Israel to dispossess them. It suggests the judgment wasn't arbitrary, but a response to something already deeply rooted.
That makes sense. It gives context to the later conquest narratives.
Which brings us right to Abraham. This whole passage provides critical background for understanding his call. When God tells him in Genesis 12, "To your offspring I will give this land."
We now know what this land really meant.
Precisely. Genesis 10 shows us it wasn't an empty wilderness waiting for him, not just some vacant patch of desert.
That's such an important distinction. It emphasizes it was already well established, full of different clans.
Right. Teeming with different groups, many with fortified cities, established cultures, and frankly, often hostile towards outsiders or rivals.
These weren't just pushovers.
Not at all. Many were powerful, organized societies. Realizing this just highlights the sheer scale of Abraham's faith, doesn't it? And the massive challenge Israel would eventually face.
Definitely. It wasn't just about walking in and setting up shop.
No. The inheritance was never going to be easy. It was a divine promise, yes, but one that involved entering and possessing a land already claimed, already defended, often fiercely.
So it underscores the need for faith.
Immense faith. And also, it points ahead to the extraordinary divine power that would be absolutely necessary for Israel to actually fulfill that promise and inherit the land.
Okay, that leads us nicely to the end of this section, verse 20. It's a kind of summary statement. These are the sons of Ham by their clans and languages in their territories and nations.
It is, and it's significant because it echoes the structure used for all the descendants in the Table of Nations. It reinforces that this isn't just random information.
There's an order to it.
Yes, an orderly account, divinely overseen, you might say, documenting humanity's spread, their diversification, where they settled, meticulously noted by their clans and languages and their territories and nations.
It shows God's awareness of everyone.
Exactly. Yeah. This systematic approach highlights God's comprehensive knowledge and his sovereignty over everything. It prepares us to see that God's plan involves all peoples, not just Israel.
Even those who end up being adversaries.
Even them. It suggests that every nation, every people group, has a place within God's larger story, his purposes, whether they realize it or not. It reinforces that he's orchestrating history on a grand scale.
It's a really powerful reminder, isn't it, that even while God has this very specific plan unfolding with Israel, he's still the God of all these other nations too. He knows where they came from, where they live, what their future holds.
That's really the heart of it. These verses, which look like just genealogy and geography, are actually this incredible testament to God's meticulous care. He's documenting history, setting the stage with amazing precision for everything that's coming.
Providing this detailed map, geographical and moral, right at the beginning.
Showing that everyone, every place, is part of his grand narrative.
Wow, what a deep dive that was. We started with what seemed like, just a list, names and places.
Pretty dry on the surface.
But now, hopefully, you have a much richer feel for history, the geography, even the prophecy packed into these few verses. We've seen the Canaanite peoples listed out.
The precise boundaries drawn, prefiguring the promised land.
The moral landscape hinted at with cities like Sodom.
And that overarching theme of God knowing and overseeing all nations.
It really shows how these small details in ancient texts can just unlock huge amounts of understanding, doesn't it? It genuinely gives you a shortcut to grasping a really pivotal moment in history.
Yeah, you see how the foundations are laid piece by piece with such incredible foresight? The stage is being set meticulously for events that won't fully play out for centuries. The intentionality is just staggering.
Absolutely. And, as we finish up, thinking about this level of detail, this foresight about territories and peoples long ago, it kind of leaves you with a question, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If there was such clear design and purpose woven into the geography and the peopling of the ancient world, well, what might that suggest about the structure, maybe the hidden purpose behind all the complex, sometimes seemingly random details we see in our own lives and in the world around us today?